You're not based anywhere.
No apartment, don't have a childhood home.
Dude, you're James fucking Bond.
The hardest part of my process is finding the next story, which I have no idea.
Luke Korns makes films about connecting with other humans in some of the most far-reaching places around the world, but he doesn't always know who his subjects are going to be.
It's time to do what I do best and find a complete stranger online who spontaneously is down for an adventure.
The concept of having no plan at all is where Luke's films begin. Why are you turning the camera around?
The beauty that I've seen traveling with connecting with people, I want people to understand that.
Luke has a knack for finding some of the most relatable people around the world and then finding and sharing a core truth about them in his documentary films. The characters, I feel like they just always open up. How do you get people to share so much?
I tell them you really don't have to worry. Think, mess up, try again if you need to.
Today we're watching Luke's film about hitchhiking across India, breaking down how he finds and connects with his subjects, and talking about the life of nomadic filmmaker. Luke, thank you for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
This film is so exceptional. I don't know, the one word that comes to mind with this movie is like humanity. You access a level of humanity that is pretty rare for a film this short. And I want to get to the bottom of your storytelling here.
That's what I
want to do in this session.
Yeah.
Cool. Here we go.
All right, so I am in India. I'm in Calicut, and I'm currently at the train station waiting for this girl that I met online.
Hi guys,
So I found this girl on YouTube named Hiker Girl. Her real name is Rajeshwari, but goes more commonly by the name Amu. And she hitchhikes throughout India completely by herself. I sent her a message to find out more, and after a short conversation, she ended up inviting me to join her on a hitchhiking adventure across India. I, of course, said yes, and I headed to India right away.
Okay, first question for you is, the people in your films are everything. How do you find these people?
How do I find them? That's the hardest part for sure. I used couchsurfing a lot, so that's a great resource for places like India, for example, where there's big cities and a lot of travelers. I found her on YouTube, and then recently I've been finding people on Facebook. That requires a little bit more investigation because I'll have to really find one person and go to their friends and then...
And what are you looking for?
I think an openness, someone willing to open up. I've reached out to people and they're really not interested in being filmed, which is totally understandable, but perhaps they can lead me to someone else. I think the one that I shot recently in the Solomon Islands, the initial person I reached out to wasn't really interested, but he's like, contact this person. And through him, I met the actual protagonist of that project.
Hello.
There's always a way to someone, but it takes a long time sometimes.
The thing to call out maybe right off the bat that really separates your films from a lot of other travel vlogs or YouTube videos in general is, I think if you were to just track Luke time versus subject time, it's like 90% subject time, 10% Luke time, which is the opposite of how most YouTube channels are set up.
Sure.
Why are you turning the camera around?
I think it's just, I've been on YouTube for 15 years of my life.
15 years?
Yeah. I started when I was 12. Yeah. Oh. It's been a long journey, and when I was a teenager, that was kind of like the peak of my success, I would say, in a different success. It was only me, and it was me sitting hours in the room editing myself, and I kind of exhausted all various narratives in that phase of my life. Now, focusing on other people's stories, it's a lot more fulfilling, and I'm interested in that more right now.
Cool.
Hi,
What's your name?
Rajeshwari.
Rajeshwari.
See, the plan was to cross the entire south of India, starting in the city of Calicut and ending in the coastal city of Rameswaram.
Okay, so one question about this sequencing here. By the way, we're still only 40 seconds into the video, and you've already conveyed so much information to us, which I'll get into in a second. But shots like this, and then even this shot of her walking up, are you just kind of filming all the time?
Yeah, this one specifically, I remember it was about a month that we were together shooting, and I had my camera in my hand 24/7 basically, because the nature of, as you'll see more in hitchhiking, is it's very spontaneous. You never know what's going to happen. So always to be ready, not to miss a moment. This one specifically, it was a big edit, I remember.
So you had like hundreds of hours of footage.
Yeah, this one was like, I think over a terabyte of footage.
For this one film.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because it's only like 10 minutes long.
So you're like traveling all the time now. How do you store? Do you have just like a bunch of little hard drives?
I have a bunch of little hard drives, like the SanDisk ones.
So you get like 100 hours of footage, and then at the end you have to edit all this together. Process wise, like, are you at any given time? Do you have like 6 films in edit, or do you go one at a time?
One at a time. And that's like something that I'm not sure if I need to combat that complacency I suppose I have, because I don't want to do more than one at a time. But now I'm at a point in my channel where I only post like 4 times a year, 5 times a year. And it's a gamble to have a YouTube channel in that nature, because if one doesn't do so well, it's like, the last 3 months of my life relied on the success in that. But I'd like to figure out a way to make it a little faster, fine-tune it, streamline, I think.
So what does that look like? How are you going to do that?
I don't know. Because I shoot projects like this, or the one I just shot in Nepal, and in mind I'm like, okay, I'm getting better at picking and choosing what I film. But then again, I just shoot everything. It's a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It looks like it.
It's a lot of fun until I'm editing it, and then I get mad at myself.
Yeah.
Starting in the city of Calicut and ending in the coastal city of Rameswaram.
Yeah,
good.
Nice. Have a lot of packets also.
Let's go hitchhiking.
So now we are going to start our journey.
The next morning, bright and early, we met up and immediately got going.
We want to cross this city.
When you sit down to edit, like right now there's voiceover happening in addition to the sort of diegetic sound of the film. Do you edit on paper first, or do you just sit in front of Premiere and drag stuff in and lay it all out? What's your process for putting a story together?
I sit in front of Premiere. I never write anything down. I never have any like physical way of organization. It's a mess. And I don't think anyone would understand my timeline except for me. It's a big conglomerate of trial and error.
And so like that voiceover, is that just like while you're editing, you're like, there needs to be an explanation of the story here?
I will do like the initial timeline dump where I like have the story and it's like, 25 minutes long. And there are moments that I think I need explanation. And moments where I think I look back at my earlier work and I'm like, I over-explain things. I should have just let it play out.
It reminds me of that Robert McKee quote around like, oh, it's something like voiceover is a last resort.
Yeah,
at least for him.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't use it unless he has to.
Yeah. And I feel that, especially when I watch back even this now, I'm like, there's a lot of talking, which is okay because everything is important, I think, in this one. But the less is the better. The more you can show, I think.
How have you been able to do that and remove voiceover?
What I love to do now when I'm working with the subject, which is most of my work, but I love to ask them, what are we doing today? Oh, we're about to go, get in the car and go somewhere, rather than me say, today, I don't know. It's just like more interesting to have it play out that way than it just be like this like godly voice in the post-production that isn't in the present. So I like everything to be in the present if I can.
Love that.
Yeah.
I really had no time to think hard about expectations, but I was a little bit confused on how to go about hitchhiking.
Oh no!
Okay, so I also just have to ask, like, you're flying to a country, you're getting in the car with strangers, you're meeting a random person, going on a trip with them. Certainly, if I put myself in that situation, I'm like pretty nervous to get on a truck.
Yeah. I mean, I've had situations where I've, been robbed and...
You were robbed?
Yeah, I was mugged in Colombia shooting. That was years ago, though. I think that was the lack
Where in Colombia?
In Bogota. Yeah. I was shooting in this area, and then this group of guys came up to me.
Did they take your camera?
They took my camera.
Did you lose the footage?
I lost the entire story. Yeah. Oh. And my sense of security and innocence, in a sense.
Did they rob you at gunpoint?
Yeah. Knives.
Knives?
Knives to my neck.
They held a knife to your neck?
Yeah.
Were you, scared for your life?
Yeah, it affected me a lot. I was probably 20, so it was years ago. But it affected me a lot, and it's still to this day, I think, it's woken up this new sense in me. It was important to happen because I grew up in Wisconsin, very safe area. I was aware of the reality of some places in the world, but I think I needed a wake-up call because it could have been a lot worse. these things happen everywhere. Like, there's not a place on this earth where you can walk around and completely let your guards down. So I have nothing against, that happening to me in Colombia. Like, it happens everywhere. It really does. And I think some of the places I go to and my approach on just taking out my camera, I think there needs to be more of a respect of the area, and I needed to learn that.
Despite that, you're still out there getting on the back of trucks
Yeah.
with drivers you've never met before
Yeah.
and hitchhiking across India. What gives you the guts to sort of get back on the horse after having a knife on your neck?
I think because I trusted her, for sure. I trusted her, and she grew up there, especially where we started the journey. She grew up there, so she understood the area. And I think, when I was in Brazil, I also stayed in an area that if I was alone, I would have probably ran into problems with my camera. But because I was with someone who knew the area, the community respected that I wasn't just this random tourist walking through. I was with somebody that they knew, so there was kind of like this respect, and they did leave me alone. But it's still like quite scary. But I put a lot of faith and trust in my subjects, and I make sure there's an understanding.
Okay, that's a good question.
Hitchhiking don't have any special tips. All about our luck.
It's all about luck?
Yeah. Right?
We did it!
Do you have I saw at the beginning of the video you have a lav mic.
Yeah.
Are
yeah.
you just wearing that all day? And
No, I just did that for the intro, but the rest is just, the Rode mic I have on my...
And what is your camera?
This was the Fuji X-T4. I still use that. And I think that was the first time I actually went full manual.
Like focus, exposure.
Yeah, exposure,
ISO.
focus, everything. Pretty much everything. Except for white balance. I don't know why.
Do you travel with multiple lenses, or do you have one go-to?
I have two that I use. Oh, I can even look. Okay. So this is my bag.
Is that like the bag that
This
you...
is the bag for now. I
Okay.
just changed this. My friend in Tokyo gave it to me. It's really worn out, but I like it. But this is where I carry everything. And I love this bag specifically because it has a spot where I can really like quickly grab. But I'll do it like this, and then I'm like ready to go like in 2 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
to be able to do that and then quickly go, then I can just shoot. I got a spot for my other lens that I use. Yeah. And then I'll use my tripod. This is the setup. And I don't need anything else.
That's it. That's the whole filmmaking setup.
Yeah, those two lenses, I would love to have more options, but I don't have the strength or space.
And they just go right in the bag. It's not a camera bag, just like straight in there.
This one's sort of a camera bag. Like, it has a lens spot, but
Okay.
the problem is I use it because it's so important for me to have the access to quickly take out my camera. But I think I'm finding out more that I just hold it.
Yeah.
Like this one, I held my camera the entire time.
Right.
So, and then I put my tripod in the little water bottle area.
Yeah.
There might be a better bag, to be honest. There probably is. But
Well,
I like this one.
the best bag is the one you know best.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
We flew through a whole lot of land that first day, hopping from truck to truck, car to car.
Okay, like that shot. Do you ask people if you can film before you film?
It depends on the location. Here, there was no sense or vibe that people were uncomfortable with me shooting. I think as you'll see later on in this, once I go inside people's homes, that's where I'm more conscious about privacy. But there are certain countries that I've been to where the general population is a little more concerned about what I'm filming and if I'm filming them. India was very easy though, but there are some places where I'm like, every time I take out my camera, I have to make sure that everyone around is okay with it. So
We flew through a whole lot of land that first day, hopping from truck to truck, car to car, meeting so many kind drivers who felt it in their hearts to pick up two strange backpackers on the side of the road. I didn't really know where we were headed, but I just tagged along as Amu did what she does best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now we are in OT.
Okay, you're traveling around the world in some of the most beautiful regions and countries in the world, and you don't travel with a drone.
I don't travel with a drone.
Why?
I think I got a little sick of drone shots. I think people relied on that a lot. I think they're beautiful. And there are times where I wish I had one. But one, they're small drones, but it's quite, it's an extra thing to carry. And two, every country has their own restrictions. So I don't want to have to be worried if I'm going to be stopped at border for having a drone. In some areas, like even just flying, that you can be allowed inside the country with the drone, but certain areas have restrictions. And I've just heard so many people like getting into trouble for them. So I've just never bothered. But
To me, it feels like the focus is on the person
yeah,
more so than the shot or the beauty or the color or the landscape.
Yeah.
Like you're telling these very human stories. And so actually now is when I first realized, oh, there are no drone shots
drone shots.
in this like travel, like
People will comment sometimes being like, why do you not have a drone? It would enhance your work. And I'm like, I don't know.
yeah,
Because I think you're right. I think it is. I'm interested in what's happening and less about the beauty.
yeah.
Of course, I do capture the beauty in other ways, but
In some ways, I would argue it makes it feel more personal, makes it feel more human.
yeah.
We are in Ooty, one of the coldest places in South India.
So where are we gonna stay?
I don't have any idea.
I have no idea where we're gonna stay tonight, but I trust Amu.
I had prepared myself to find a quiet corner and sleep on the ground. But then out of the blue, this sort of miracle happened. And I truly mean miracle.
Oh my god!
What? I'm a police officer from Kerala. Yeah, man.
Actually, he's my friend on Clubhouse.
So you were just like filming at this moment
Yeah.
that she ran into a
This
friend.
is the weirdest thing that's ever happened, the most coincidental moment. She uses this app called Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's like she has a lot of friends that she just meets on there.
Mhm.
And they had been talking like a week before, and somehow they recognized each other in a random city like hours from where they're from. And it was great that this moment happened because we were going to struggle to find a spot, I knew. And we arrived too late.
Does that happen to you often? Do you end up sleeping outside?
Less than you would expect, but yeah, it happens. It happened in this one a couple times. Maybe I didn't show it. But there was 2 nights. One night was like really, we didn't sleep. We just waited for the morning because it was just like bad vibes.
Like dangerous?
I wouldn't go as far as say it's dangerous, but it was just like a city street, and letting our guards down enough to sleep wasn't really possible. So we just stayed up. Actually, we took shifts another night where she would sleep 2 hours and I would sleep for 2 hours. But that didn't happen a lot in this because India and all over the world, but I just felt hospitality. People were so open to having their house be a place for us to stay. And some of them were like, just stay for a week. And we're like, oh. We stayed a couple nights, consecutive nights with people. But it's a lot of fun to do that if you surrender to the fear of it.
Are you close with your parents?
More now. They understand the nature of my work, and they understand that I like seek adventure, but I think I don't tell them details.
Do they
especially my
watch your
mom.
videos?
They do.
How do they feel about it?
They like it. I think they understand, they trust me, and they just hope and pray that everything's going to be okay. But I tell them after the fact. Like, I didn't tell them I'm going hitchhiking for a month in India.
This police officer, out of nowhere, approached Amu because he recognized her from this app where they had spoken weeks prior.
What a pleasant surprise.
They are inviting us to stay with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying our journey. It's all about luck.
Luck. Or maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's fate.
No, it's luck.
I love that moment. It's so subtle,
Mm-hmm.
but she's so strong.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it's luck.
That's why she was so fun to shoot. Because one, out of all the subjects I've shot in the last couple of years, I think she was the most confident in front of the camera. What I loved about her is outside of the great lines she had, she just allowed me to just kind of be the fly on the wall. I would just take out the camera and shoot, and there was no awkwardness of her being like, why are you shooting? She just let it happen. She would act naturally and normally as she does. Whereas some people, understandably, I'm the same way. If someone's shooting me, I'm like conscious of like, it's like I'm being viewed in a different way right now. And she is just like, whatever. And she was so open about her story too.
It's hard to get people to talk about stuff. In your films, the characters, I feel like they just always open up.
Mhm.
Anytime I'm watching your films, I really get to know somebody. How do you get people to share so much?
I think it's creating a space. And this is how I hope I am. And I try to be regardless of if I'm filming or not. where people feel like they can, talk. And some people like her, she was so open, day 2, day 3. But some people it takes longer. And sometimes, obviously, I'm not going to force it out of them.
Mm-hmm.
People like to be able to have an opportunity to share, because it's a opportunity for them to really just speak and not have to worry about asking questions. They can just speak. Much like this. You're asking me questions, and I'm just worrying about what I feel, what I want to say.
What do you want to say? Like, what are your films saying?
I think the most baseline thing, and I am still trying to figure out my voice. I think the easiest thing is the beauty that I've seen traveling with connecting with people. I want people to understand that it's possible to connect with people and form friendships that transcend borders. That's what inspires me most right now, is to be able to speak to people, to be able to open up, to travel with them for a month, get a glimpse at their life. To be able to do that is just, it's the best privilege, the most amazing privilege that I could ever imagine. So just bridging, gaps, cultural gaps, I guess. It's kind of what I'm focused on.
Feels like that.
Yeah.
What is your story?
Child marriage before 18, it's restricted by law. But I don't have the awareness about that at that time. When I was 16, I'm getting married. At that time, I don't want to marry anyone. But my family said, you must do this. In India, arranged marriage is common. I don't have any other option. So, my husband have 13 years elder than me. The thoughts are different, totally different. I can't able to adjust with them. I was in a jail.
Okay, we're going. We're starting.
At last, we are separated now. Now I'm a free bird. So I can do what I want. So I just quit.
Okay.
This moment is so powerful, and also an incredibly difficult subject. It's masterful what you do in this sequence, and her story is, it's just so incredible to think about. I want to talk about how you tell this story and how you do her story justice.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the first thing to call out is as she's telling her story,
What is your story?
you're not showing the interview footage.
Yeah.
You're showing her looking out the window. Talk us through how you approach a sequence like this, and what you decide to include and what not, and how you decide how to match, visuals with audio.
When people tell their stories like this, there's a lot of moments that they're unsure of what to say. So I think having the freedom to be able to cut out silences makes my subjects feel more at ease in the interview, because I tell them, you really don't have to worry. Think, mess up, try again if you need to.
Do you actually say that to people when you're doing an interview?
I said that to her because obviously it's a heavy topic, but I didn't even have a lot of questions for her. I just said, what is your story? Why did you start hitchhiking? And she wanted to open up about this heavy past that she had about, being in a forced marriage.
You're a professional rice planter.
Yeah. Simply, I'm lucky. So I'm okay now. I'm happy now. That's it. Simply.
Masterful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Music. Where do you get your music, and how do you choose music for the right sequence?
It's weird because I have playlist after playlist of songs on Spotify that I pull from in terms of inspiration. If I'm not going the copyrighted music route, MusicBed obviously has it's a great resource for finding music that fits the vibe, for sure, and it's a little higher quality, so I use them a lot.
Cool.
After 2 full weeks of hitchhiking and staying with stranger after stranger, we arrived to this foggy village called Pumbarai, an isolated farming village that ended up being our home for the next week.
I think I understand why you like hitchhiking. I think I feel what you feel.
We were invited to work with this family who own this self-sustaining farm in the village. We got to know them and laugh with them
Nandri.
and share our lives together, feeling like family, living a simple, beautiful life.
How do you feel about all the people you meet throughout your travels?
99.9% are good people, good ones. Before starting this traveling life, I have only one family. My mom, my dad, my sister. But now I have a lot of families all over India.
Is that how you feel too?
I did. I don't want to get so into it, but like it was something that I was battling earlier than this, but I related to her because it was sort of this, for her, almost rejection from her family. And I think she has found community and family elsewhere. So there was a level of relatability to that for sure.
And now, like, you're on the road. So we're in San Francisco right now.
Yeah.
Which is where our HQ is.
Yeah.
Where are you now? Like, I know you're in San Francisco right now,
Yeah.
but like in this month, like what is happening in World Luke?
Yeah, I was just in Mexico for the last 3 weeks, almost month, just editing my last project I shot, which is almost done. So then I'll fly to Copenhagen tomorrow, finish editing there, and then start the hardest part of my process is finding the next story, which I have no idea.
And you're going to do that from Copenhagen? Is that where you're sort of, well, we were talking earlier at lunch, you're not based anywhere right now?
No, I'm not based anywhere, no.
So you don't have like an apartment that you go back to?
No apartment, no house, don't have a childhood home. My parents live abroad, so I have no place to really just go.
And do you like that?
I love it. It's so fun.
Why?
Because I can live different lives. I, for example, will go to Tokyo twice a year and see my friends. Maintaining different cities that I have, loose bases in, I can just like circulate throughout the world. When I'm not shooting these projects, I'm editing in those cities. So I'll go to Tokyo and edit, for example, and I have an amazing community there. To be able to have that in multiple cities around the world is like so special, so much fun.
And so you'll stay with a friend that you've met in your travels?
Yeah, like Tokyo, for example, I'll stay with my good friend who's also like in the film scene. So I'll just stay with him, and he has an extra room, and he, we get along so well. So I'll just stay and edit and hang out in the city.
And what are you bringing with you? What do you travel with?
I travel with this small bag that I've shown and a carry-on bag only.
And
just
that's
a carry-on, yeah.
And then do you have your things somewhere, or is that all of your things?
No, I have nothing else. I have one backpack and a kitty cat, like an actual physical cat, at my friend's house. Yeah, and those are my only belongings that exist.
What's in the backpack?
Old hard drives, my birth certificate, social security card, those things.
Dude, you're James fucking Bond.
Well, that bag is like, that's the only important thing. The rest, like, whatever. But that one, and then my cat, I do care for, even though I don't, I can't see her that often. But.
And are you having fun? Is this fun?
I love it so much. Sorry, I love it. It's a lot of fun. And I think if it wasn't, I would stop. And I thought I would stop by now. The initial plan was a year. And then I'm like, I don't want to stop. I've changed the way I do it. At first I was staying in hostels. I was like moving city to city every week. Now I've been more, I guess, deliberate in my choices where I stay. And I'm focusing more on maintaining and developing more the friendships I have now than meeting someone for a week and then never seeing them again. And I think with that, I'll get a cheap place in Kuala Lumpur I was just at editing and staying there and focusing on my edits, my work, but also really like developing myself. It's like the digital nomad movement, but in my own way. And I love it.
How do you develop yourself?
I've been watching a lot of films. I've never prioritized watching films, and I've been going to the gym. Those two things. And reading. I read too.
Okay.
So when I'm not editing, focusing on those things, rather than in previous years, I was staying at hostels, which is so fun to try in your life. I think everyone should do it. But there's a lot of distraction. Too much fun. It's literally too much fun. There's always a party, always something going on, and a great community of open-minded, fun travelers that want to hang out. Mm-hmm. It's at your expense. So it's like, I needed to not have that anymore. So I changed the way I do things,
Yeah.
and it's helped.
You found your community abroad,
Yeah,
your global community.
global community, which is so fun.
What is next for you?
I have long-term goals. I want to submit to festivals, create more, and develop my style, have more experience, more stories, and hopefully I can make a living off of it for as long as I do it. That's the only goal, I think, now. The more time I have to be able to travel like this, if I can make it work financially for as long as I can, I'll just keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah. There's a book on this, I think it's called The Infinite Game or Infinite Games, something like that. The idea is the goal is to stay in the game.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Mm.
It reminds me of one of my friends is a touring guitar player, has played with a bunch of great musicians. And he was on a tour bus having a late night conversation once. And somebody asked, why do we make albums? And the artist on the bus was like, so that we can make more albums.
Mm.
It's like such a great.
Great. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Because it's like every project that I do enables me to do another one.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing privilege to have to be able to put my all into this work. And that is the goal, is to just keep going.
Yeah.
And we'll see whatever happens after.
Luke, thank you for being here today. Super fun getting to talk to you. And yeah, thanks for sharing your genius with us.
Thanks for your belief in my work. I appreciate it. Thanks for seeing the things that I haven't even noticed, really. The subtle things. I appreciate it.
Awesome.